talking about this.
Yeah, so welcome to Cinema Makeup School's Talkin' Shop and SFX podcast. I am Kim Lonning, here again with our Chief Academic Officer, Andy Schoneberg. And yeah, we are talking about Alien versus Predator. So, fun fact.
Yes.
We chose AVP because we put a poll on our YouTube, and at the time that we had to make a decision about what movie to talk about next, AVP was in the lead. At the time of shooting it, is no longer in the lead, so I feel like we kind of cheated.
What's in the lead now?
Walking Dead Season 1.
Yeah. I know nothing about The Walking Dead.
That's definitely not what you won 2 Emmys for at all.
No, not at all.
All right, so Alien versus Predator.
AVP.
You were working on it at Studio ADI, and
yes.
I cannot say their proper name.
Amalgamated Dynamics Incorporated.
Yes. Yeah.
When Alec and Tom started the shop, they wanted to have a big, confusing corporate name, and they achieved that with Amalgamated Dynamics Incorporated. They said they wanted it to be like the things you used to see on the Roadrunner cartoon.
Oh.
The equipment that would show up for Wile E. Coyote always had these big corporate sounding names on the shipping labels. So they went for that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, they're successful because that's why we just call them Studio ADI.
Yeah. Yeah, they started going with ADI because people just didn't want to spend the time saying Amalgamated Dynamics Incorporated.
All right. Alien versus Predator. I know you were a supervisor at ADI. Was that before?
I was the art department supervisor there on a number of films when I first started at ADI. And then I left and went and worked around other shops for a while. And ADI brought me back on AVP, and I went back on to Santa Claus 2 and some other shows that Hollow Man I did in a non-supervisory position after I had resigned. Etc. So AVP, they brought me back in to work on the show, and then as they were getting their management structure set up, they said, "How would you like to run the sculpture department? I'll tell you, this is such a big sculpture movie that I think you need it.
Yeah.
But if I run the department, I'm not going to be able to sculpt anything because I'll be constantly getting torn away from whatever I'm working on."
Yeah.
And that proved to be the case. So I didn't get to sculpt that much. I sculpted some at the beginning, and then I got to supervise the rest of the time.
How, when you supervise, how do you approach that role at a shop?
It depends on the show. This show was so fast and a big crew, huge crew, so it got to be very impersonal, unfortunately, in the supervisory capacity. And the way I saw it, each of the franchises has its idioms and its design language. I would put people on something, and they either got it or they didn't get it. And if they didn't get it, we didn't have time to
wait around for them to get it.
Teach them.
Yeah.
So it got to be a little brutal. How
long did you guys have for pre-production for AVP?
I want to say a week, but it
seems
it was
no.
It was maybe 3 months here or something.
Wow.
I want to say it was that fast, yeah. I mean, in the sculpture department, as things moved through the other departments, I think it may have been longer than that.
Yeah.
But in the sculpture department, it went pretty quickly.
So what were you guys sculpting?
Everything.
Everything?
ADI had molds for Alien movies that they had done, Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection. So we were able to repurpose some of those. I think the body for the warrior aliens. And
did you guys have to redo the Queen completely?
Well, yeah, because the molds for the Queen were purchased by a fan who lived in Illinois or Indiana or someplace in that part of the country, the breadbasket.
Yeah.
And he left them outside in his backyard. It was beyond usable.
Wow.
So we had to resculpt pretty much the entire Queen.
How do you guys approach sculpting new things for franchises that have been existing already for years at that point?
For me, on the Queen, it was a chance to do something a little different that I had seen. It made an impression on me when the Jim Cameron's original artwork for the Alien Queen was released I think it was in a SFX magazine article or something. This beautiful illustration by Jim Cameron of the Queen. And there were a couple of things that I thought maybe got kind of glossed over at stands on the Queen. Just mostly in the shoulders. And so I looked at it as an opportunity to try something a little different that I thought maybe would match Cameron's original concept art better. And then later in an article I saw Cameron saying, "Oh, Stan did such a great job on the Queen, and I don't know what happened after that." But
oh no! You're like, I was trying to bring it closer to what.
Yeah,
you
I was
had.
doing an homage to Cameron's artwork, and I like it.
Yeah.
I think it looks good. And
So you guys didn't have to redo all the aliens, which was good. How did you approach the Predator? I mean, I know there's like a few that pop up, but there's like one main.
Yeah. So they sculpted that one to match the original suit better. I don't know if that was the original concept or not for it. But the guy playing the Predator was a basketball player, so he was 7 feet tall.
Oh, wow.
And they wanted that kind of height. Matt Rose and Steve Wang sculpted the original one. Steve sculpted the body, Matt sculpted the head. And they sculpted a lot of the body armor on it in the original sculpture and not taken off at any point during mold making or anything. They just molded on there. So the Predator, the base costume for it had a certain amount of the armor on it already. They didn't want to do that because with the variety of Predators, they didn't want to get hamstrung by having pre-existing pieces of armor there. So they sculpted him completely naked and then added the armor on after the fact. So it's modular. Some could have certain pieces and some wouldn't. And
so before this, like watching the movie for this podcast, I've never seen Alien versus Predator. The different iteration of the little xenomorph Predator hybrid chest burster at the end. How did you guys think of that?
Well, that was kind of a cool thing. And I mean, this was definitely a fan film.
Yeah.
It's not made by fans, but it's made for the fans because the fans clamored for it for years. And it was all spurred by a shot in Alien or Predator 2 where the Predator's going into his ship and he's got his trophy wall. And one of the trophies on his trophy wall is a xenomorph skull. And the fans just went, "Oh man, the Predator beat the alien." And they kept after it so long that the studio Fox finally just went, "Fine.
There you go.
We'll make Alien versus Predator."
So you brought a book about all the effects.
Yeah. Let me pass that
from
on down to you.
AVP. I know we were flipping through it a little bit before. We got all of the designs and then the sculpture, which was your department, and we got you thinking very thoughtfully
Oh, yes.
about it. Do any of these photos kind of bring back memories? There's Alec.
Yeah. Alec and Tom and Yuri,
Yeah.
the triumvirate that ran ADI for so long. Bruce Spalding Fuller and Don Lanninger in the top photo, sculpting the Predator body. The idea for this one was they wanted the Predator to have more of a V shape to him, like a bodybuilder shape to him.
Yeah.
That was sculpted in a weekend.
A weekend?
Yeah.
Jeez. You
Yeah,
guys had to really work fast.
It was a tough schedule.
When you guys have to like bust these like creatures out in such a short amount of time, like what like goes through your mind throughout the process? Or are you just like so
Nothing.
locked in? Nothing. There's
You
no
don't-
time for anything else.
You don't have time to think about anything but the project right in front of you. Yeah, there were the Predator feet, for instance. It's deemed not a truly essential part of the costume because you don't focus on the feet that much. So I think we gave the person who was doing them a day and a half for each foot. And that's a lot because there's a lot of little noodly detail in the things, but you couldn't get hung up on that. You had to just blast through it. And I had two other sculptors on the feet before I put Steve Koch on them. And Steve just puts his head down and goes. Yeah, we had a all-star team of sculptors there.
That's great. Once you guys sculpt and you have to be shipped to move to the mold department,
Mm-hmm.
how do you guys approach conversations between the mold makers and the sculptors?
Oh, always.
Yeah.
Yeah. The sculptors would work with the mold makers in that the mold makers would come in as we're sculpting and look at things. And they would just sort of, as a group, travel through the sculpture department and they'd point at things. We gotta watch out for that. There's an undercut and all of that stuff. So we would work with them pre-mold making to sort of satisfy as much of their concern as we could. If things were undercut or awkward angles or this or that, then we could address those things before it got into the mold shop.
I remember this was a decade ago because I used to go to a few shops around town and stuff. And they would talk about, like, you never want to be the mold maker that has to go up to the sculptor and be like, hey, I accidentally messed up the sculpture.
Yeah.
Have you ever come across that in your career?
On Return of the Living Dead 2, we staged an incident like that.
Yeah.
To just screw with one of the sculptors.
Oh, no.
I was one of the mold makers. And we had molded this sculpture that this guy did. And it came out of the mold untouched.
Oh, wow.
It looked like we hadn't molded it yet. So I said, we should with Sean. And tell him that, I said, one of us could walk into the sculpting room and the other can close the door as the guy is coming in with his sculpture and just see what damage the door does to the sculpture. And because it was molded, so it didn't matter.
It was already molded.
Yeah. So Sean had been out running errands all day and he comes back and it's cleanup time and we're putting things away. And I said, do you want to put this back in the mold room? And we're being very loud about it to be very obvious. And Chris Gay, the mold shop supervisor, goes, yeah, put it in there. We'll get it to it first thing tomorrow. And so I'm heading in there and somebody, I think, walked in front of me and slammed the door. And I just bonked right into the door with the sculpture and it flattened one side of the sculpture.
How did Sean react?
Sean said, as we were like, oh shit, we'll put it in there and we'll deal with it tomorrow. And Sean goes, did I hear a thunk?
Oh, no.
And we went, yeah, sorry. This sculpture got it was an accident. And so he looks at it and he's like, he had spent a long time on this sculpture because 3 different people had to play the same part. So he had to do 3 different sculptures on 3 different actors.
Yeah.
And match them all so they look like it's the same
character.
zombie.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's looking at it and he goes, and Chris goes, can you have this done by 9 a.m. tomorrow? Ready to mold? And he goes, I guess so. And Chris grabs the nose of the sculpture, just twists it off and goes, how about now?
That's so mean. But really funny.
Sean realized that he'd been had at that point. So he started laughing. Faked a heart attack.
Oh, that's great. Do you guys, I know on a project like this, it's kind of hard because it's so much like go.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys try to find some time to at least like have fun?
Yeah.
With your crew?
Yeah, and as you can tell from that previous story, it's a group of people who know how to have a good time and bust each other's chops and that kind of thing. So, yeah, you always look for opportunities to do something, but it's not always appropriate.
Very fair. Very fair, especially when you have 3 months to sculpt. Like, how many creatures? Because there's also, it's not just like creatures, like you have to kind of break it up into little parts.
Yeah.
Like, how?
Well, there was the regular predator, the guys in suits, there was the 7-footer.
Yeah.
And then there were other predators that had to be costumed, and there were suits made for them, and they all had to be painted and blah, blah, blah. So it just was, stuff would get to the paint department, and I was amazed. They did a hydraulic alien queen, which was no small feat, but they used some existing stuff, I think probably from Alien Resurrection, to animate the queen. They built the entire creature and then put the skins on it and all of that in record time. And then they painted it, and I said to Mike Larrabee, the head painter, how long do you have to paint this? A day. Like, a day?
Damn.
It's 12 feet tall.
Wow.
Yeah. And he got it done in a day.
How do you, with something this large, how do you keep symmetry, like, in mind?
Well, you're hoping that the original sculpture that it was scanned from is symmetrical. And Aki did that, so the odds of it being symmetrical are pretty strong. But I look through that book now, and it's just everybody in that book is a very capable artist and very renowned in the business. Like Akihito Ikeda, he's done a ton of stuff. Mike O'Brien runs Glenn Hetrick's shop now. Bruce Fuller and Don Lanning, and just down the list of a great bunch of sculptors on the project. And then you get into other departments, and there's just as many luminaries in those departments as there are in others. So they hired a premium crew.
You used to hire people at Studio ADI back in the day. What was your approach when hiring people for lab positions like this?
I always looked at the work in their book, what they were looking to do. So if they wanted to be a painter and they didn't have a lot of paint in their book, then I was a little suspicious of that.
Yeah.
One guy came in one time who had pictures of a makeup I had done in his book. And it was not just a makeup that I had participated in. It was a makeup that I had designed and sculpted and molded and ran the foam and applied.
Did all the work.
So I did all the work
on
the boyfriend school.
The boyfriend school.
Yeah. And I stopped at that page in his portfolio, and I thought, where did this guy get pictures of this makeup? And I thought, nobody saw that movie. So I said, tell me about this makeup. And he came up with this cock and bull story about doing the makeup and blah, blah, blah. I said, that's very interesting because I did that makeup. And he closed his book and stood up and got up in a chair and walked out of the studio, and I never heard from him again.
That's ballsy.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I feel like so many of things that we do, and you've already mentioned it before, because, like, okay, there's someone starts the sculpture, someone else might have to finish it.
That's true.
I think it's okay to have work, be like, I did this part of this makeup or this sculpture or this mold, whatever, and then, always give credit.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, that's very different makeup because you did everything on that one by yourself.
Yeah, if he had done anything on that makeup, I would have known.
Yeah. So I think just, don't plagiarize. And if you have something, do credit, be upfront and honest about what you did.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. Because I know a guy who ran foam, who was an excellent foam runner, and he used to put pictures of the finished creatures in his book. And we all would look at his book and go, why are you putting these? Why don't you put pictures of the foam runs in there?
Yeah.
Well, the creature looks a lot better. It just shows better. I'm like, no. That makes it look like you did the creature.
Yeah.
Just put pictures of your foam runs in them. But these things, they were all done so quickly. I don't recall anybody having, they maybe spent a little more time on the Predator's face, but not much.
Yeah.
Predator head, Bruce Fuller did that. He did an excellent job on it.
I was reading an article where it said that one of the aliens, I don't know if it was the alien queen or if it was like one of the like warrior aliens, had like, it was like a six or multi-point puppet. How do you guys prepare like in the shop for something that needs to be puppeteered in that way?
Well, it's a lot of testing and rehearsal. You get, if it needs a half a dozen people to operate it, you just go grab 6 people from the shop and bring them over to the mechanical shop and say, try this. Tell me what you think. And they puppeteer things. There's also was a fabrication department on the show that probably did all the puppet building. Because unless it's hydraulically operated or cable operated, then it's likely going to be hand operated, and then that's when you need to have puppeteers available. And then you call the puppeteers in the shop together and have them operate it because it looks better.
Yeah. I think this like film was just such a fun movie. And I was mentioning this before we sat down to talk here in front of cameras. Early 2000s, there was a lot of like experiments when it comes to like CGI and everything like that. And like you can tell and clock it now, like watching it through 2025 lens, like, okay, that's CGI, that's the practical. And looking, like comparing the two, I'm like, the practical still holds up compared to some of the CGI from the early 2000s. Why do you think all these years it still remains like the most effective?
Well, I think that practical has the advantage of it being actually there. So I'd rather see something practical that's sweetened with CG than a completely CG character. There are times, like in Jurassic Park, anytime you see the full T-Rex running and you see its feet and all of that, that's CG. It had to be.
Nowadays, with 3D scanning and 3D printing and everything, you think that's just going to keep like making practical effects like stronger and everything?
Yeah, oh, definitely. I think it's a tool that practical effects can work with. When I worked on Jurassic Park 3, sorry, not 2, on the Spinosaur, John Rosengrant was comparing the way that the original T-Rex was done to the way the Spinosaur was done. And he said, we spent 5 months sculpting the T-Rex miniature. But it worked. We got it all done.
Yeah. And the T-Rex looks great.
And it took months of 10 sculptors a day working on that to get it done. The Spinosaur was sculpted by Joey Orozco in much less time, I believe, and then sent off to a scanning place, the scanning and enlarging place, which did did work on AVP. So they scanned the sculpture, digitized it, and then increased the size for the output, and they shipped the pieces to us. We assembled them onto a speed rail, got it all assembled, glued all those pieces together, and then went through and sharpened up the detail on all of it, because the detail softened some from the scanning and printing process. And it took us 2 weeks to do the Spinosaur detailing, where it took us months and months to do the T-Rex.
Yeah.
So it's a good tool to use. We just started using it for that. I have a scanner and a printer at home. My printer is tiny, but it really opens your eyes just using the technology to see what you can do differently and better now. There were things on AVP, I'm like, boy, I wish I'd understood more of the process. I would have used scanning a lot more.
Yeah. It is that time. I do have something I kind of want to do. It might look terrible in camera, but I do need to move this book out of the way so it doesn't get ruined. So I remember Alec Gillis, I think it was either in his In the Chair interview he did with us or the seminar he and Shane Mahan did for Alien Romulus. Honestly, it probably could have been both. But he was talking about the xenomorph, like acid. And it's something that I saw a lot when watching the movie. So I made this little acetone concoction and some styrofoam. Kind of made it green so it matches a little bit better. You should be able to, I'm just going to pour it, but like if you have like a squirt bottle or something, this spray is too misty to make it really work as well. So you just pour it on and then it starts sizzling and we got the alien acid.
There you go.
Yeah. So the more you know, but for the folks at home, this is more so for the people that are watching the video versus listening in on Spotify. Yeah, so you look at that melt away.
Yeah.
But so just acetone, some styrofoam, and some green and yellow.
I did that effect for a stage production.
Yeah.
In set design, we were doing a production of Frankenstein, and I did the creature makeup, and they also wanted me to design the set. So for the laboratory set, it was all stone construction. And to get the texture of the stones, I just walked around the set and just spritzed the walls with acetone.
Nice.
Built them out of the same styrofoam material. Yeah, the model making department was another department we worked real closely with in the sculpture department. Because they built a lot of the armor that went on to the Predator. So they had to have access to sculptures as they were coming out so that they could put everything together on an arm, for instance. And these guys now, the model makers, probably would or could use ZBrush to build the armature, or build the armor, because you can do good geometrical, hard surface sculpting in ZBrush.
Which is a class that we offer here at Cinema Makeup School.
Yes. Shameless plug.
Always gotta have the shameless plug.
Yeah. Well, it's fun to have my memory jogged about some things. I'm sure there are other artists who worked on the show and go, "Don't you remember we did blah, blah, blah?" And I'd be, yeah.
If we ever get Alec in here for one of these, I'll be like, okay, so now your take on AVP.
Yeah, and Alec would have a completely different take because he
And then
oversaw the whole thing and went to set with it.
He went on set with all the puppets and everything, yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you for joining us and watching. We post every Monday now for new episodes. And yes, although this was what was in the lead for our poll was AVP at the time of deciding on what film to talk about next, technically we do owe them The Walking Dead Season 1.
Now you have to stay tuned for The Walking Dead Season 1.
Exactly. But if you're interested in practical effects, always keep following us on all of our social media. Or if you're interested in learning, you can go to our website at cinemamakeup.com. I know we talked a lot about like 3D printing and scanning, and that is something that we have been working and developing, done a few workshops here and there. So hopefully we get to do a few more in the future. But yeah, thank you. Bye.
Thanks, guys. 3.
3.
1, 2, 3.
3. All right.
We had a thing going in the shop on, it might have been on Batman Returns.
Yeah.
With, there's a guy named Paul Mejias, who is quite the Beatles fan. And Shannon Shea came running up to me one day, and he goes, "If Paul comes around asking you about the Beatles and whether Paul McCartney or George Harrison did the voice of the owl in the
commercial,
the commercial for Tootsie Pops, he did." Okay. I said, "All right." Shannon said they had Paul convinced that George Harrison did that voice. He said, "Everybody who's a Beatles fan knows that." He said, "Go ask around." So then he came and did the preemptive strike. So when Paul came around and said, "Hey, I got a question. Shannon says that George Harrison did the voice for the owl." And I said, "Yeah, in the Tootsie Pop commercial."
Yeah.
He goes, "Did he really?" I said, "Yeah, everybody knows that's him."
Everyone knows that. You're not a fan of the Beatles. All right. So Talking Shop, episode 3. Marker, break, I don't know what to say.